Okay, so hello everyone. Good to see all of you. Still figuring out some of the kinks here because I am new to this. So, first, let me mute myself. All right, so how's everyone doing? Welcome to the live stream show for the hashtag History Challenge. Um, I hope that all of you have had a good day. I have had a very interesting day. It's been good though. Um, had some. It's been an interesting day. My sister's here in the background. She can't. You're not on camera, but she's here, so that's always good. You probably remember her. You probably remember her if you have seen some of my older history videos that I did. I did some videos with her. So she's going to be in the background, her phone or whatever. So I'm one of the hosts for the hashtag History Reading Challenge, and I thought that I would do this live show to just talk to some of you guys who are part of the History Reading Challenge. If you guys are not part of that, that's fine. We can chat about other stuff too, but just kind of wanted because I haven't been putting out videos for the hashtag reading for the Reading History Challenge. Not sure why I keep saying hashtag for the History Reading Challenge. So I just wanted to do a video before the end of it, just to kind of touch base with all of you, see how your experience has been going. So, um, for me, it's been going pretty well. Had some really good books. I read Lakota America. I finished reading the book about the Habsburgs, which I did a review of yesterday. Also pretty good. I'm in the midst of reading a book called The Daughters of George III, which is also really good. And also read another book last night too that I'm going to actually going to talk about on my channel a little later. I'm not going to say what the title of the book is now, but I read it in one sitting. It was just that good. So yeah. So if you guys have any questions or anything you want to talk about, put it in the chat. I'll probably do some reading sprints too. So if you guys have your books and stuff ready, we can do some like a couple of reading sprints. But let me know down in the chat how what you guys are up to, or when you guys want to start reading. So while I wait for that, I just want to. I guess I'll talk about my read. So Lakota America is a book about the indigenous people in the Americas known as the Lakotas, and it's a history basically from like the 16th century about thereabouts to the 21st century, mostly from when the Lakotas, like just before the appearance of people from the Europe, just before they came. So it talks a bit about how the Lakotas became the power base where they were in the Missouri Valley, and then meeting, of course, the colonists and how the interactions between those colonists and also with the French colonists, the Spanish colonists, and the colonists in the United States, how that all played out. So it's been really good. It was a really good read because I think a lot of times when we read about the indigenous people in America, in the United States, we tend to think of them as passive about what was happening to them, and not really at times in charge of their own destiny. Just at the things that were happening to them, kind of just happening at the whim of the people who were colonizing, and that's not necessarily true. You see a lot of Lakotas and other Indian tribes, Native American tribes, making decisions that impacted how those European colonists interacted. So, yeah. So, hello to those in the chat. Secundra. Secundra asked the question, "What got you interested in history?" Also, hello to Alicia and the Francophile reader. Like, welcome. So, um, what got me interested in reading history? So, this is actually, I think, a question I answered in my in the history. I think the tag for this readathon. But one way I got interested in history, I took home a history book from my. I was in elementary school at the time, and I had a history book that we were supposed to get back at the end of the year, and I took it home. Not only did I take it home and read it, but I should also answer the comprehension questions at the end of each chapter. So I would answer the questions and then like check the back of the book to make sure that I got the answers right. And so that was kind of like my first big like history read. Uh, Also partially because like I'm Christian and there's a lot of like talk about prophecy that includes like a lot of history like in the past, because it relates to some stuff in the Bible. So that also was another way that I got interested in like the ancient empires of the past: Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome, and etc. So those were how I got interested in reading history. And then my mom also bought a book called Team of Rivals, which one of my favorite books that I read, and that's probably the first like big non fiction history book that I read. It's about 800 pages long, and it was about Abraham Lincoln and how he built up his cabinet, because everyone in his cabinet for the most part were rivals of his. And how do you take these people who didn't like you before and then make them become part of your political part of your like cabinet as a president of the United States? And I thought that was a really cool, really interesting read. So yeah, so that's how I got my start at reading history, and I've been I kind of got more into it through BookTube, reading a lot of the stuff on BookTube there. So it's been really good. I think I've read a lot more in history since I joined BookTube than I did like in the past. Like I would read it here and there, but getting it so far has just been like it's been amazing since I've joined BookTube how much history I've actually read. So yeah, so love that how you yeah, that is a very, very nerdy thing to do, to answer the comprehension questions at the back of the book. As you can tell, I'm an only child. Sorry if there's some background noise, because one, I have the air conditioner running because I don't want to be sweating the whole time, and two, I think there's a thunderstorm happening. But yeah, I mean, I was the only child. I didn't really have much to do. I wasn't really out and about much. So yeah, I actually went and answered the comprehension questions at the back of the book. Like, I mean, that is pretty freaking nerdy. I gotta say. Hey Elliot, nice to meet you. Thanks for being a fan. It's always good to when you do BookTube to hear people say that like they enjoy your content, because it does at times take a lot of work, and it's also good to hear that people appreciate like just the content that you put out. And knowing like before I got into the community, I wasn't sure if I was a good fit, because I wasn't reading a lot of the popular like stuff that a lot of people are reading, and history. Well, there's a community on BookTube for it. It's not as big as the other one, so I wasn't really sure if my reading taste would be like not necessarily welcome, but be like what other people want to watch. So to hear that people like to watch my content, and there are like 3,800 of you, it's really fun to hear that. So you were nerdy too, Faye? Nothing wrong with that. If you enjoy what you did, then then that's fun. So what do you think about reading deeply into one subject or time period versus reading broadly across many different topics? Oh, you hear that? That's crazy. So I think that like it all depends on what your tastes like. Like some people like very specific topics in history, and there's nothing really wrong with that. I think that that's if you find something that you really like, I think that you should go for it and try to read as much of it as you possibly can. At the same time, I think it's also good to have like a broad knowledge of history as a whole, so you can kind of put what you're interested in context. A lot of books do tend to strive to do that on their topics, tend to put like what topic they talk about like in context. So if I'm talking about I don't know, Roman poets or something like that, like the author of that book would probably try to put that in, at least in context of the contemporaries, but you may have to read other stuff to kind of get, wow, it's really getting loud. But you're going to have to, it probably puts like, Roman poets in the context of what came before them and what also came after. But I think that you should do both. Have a broad knowledge of history, one, so you can understand your own place in the world and the place of others, and how we got to where we are now. But also, if you like, there's a topic that you really, really enjoy, I think there's nothing wrong with going deep into it either. So, hey, Justin, this is one of the other hosts of the History Reading Challenge. One of the original co-hosts. I actually came in late. I was like the late bug that said like, yes, I would join. So it's good to see Justin here. I know that like, it's kind of late for you. So thanks for showing up. And yes, New Jersey pride. If you didn't know, I am from New Jersey, not too far from the city, actually, which is actually pretty fun. Actually, I kind of like New Jersey's like situation because I'm not too far from New York. I'm not too far from Boston. I'm not too far from Philadelphia, and I'm also not that far from Washington D.C. So it's just like hopping in the car and just trying to, just driving out. I think the furthest of those big cities is I think the furthest of those three cities is like 4 hours away, 4.5 hours away. So that's why I really like New Jersey and like living here. But yep, New Jersey pride. Even though if you've seen some of my videos, I have like an Eagles helmet in the background, which a lot of people in New Jersey don't like. They're like, how are you a Philadelphia Eagles fan, but you also live in New Jersey? And the reason for that is my dad was a Philadelphia Eagles fan. And since he was a Philadelphia Eagles fan, I became a Philadelphia Eagles fan. I corrupted my nephew. He became a Philadelphia Eagles fan. And my sister's mad because she's a Cowboys fan. And I'm going to add you in here, Keisha. Really? Yeah, I'm going to talk. Yeah, Cowboys fan back there. She's eating. First of all, she's eating my cake in my house. Well, not my house, but she's eating my cake. And what the Cowboys fan back there has to just deal with the fact that I turned her son into an Eagles fan. So, yeah, Justin. I mean, still. If you gotta get up at 3:15 in the morning, I get that out of here. Get that out of here. Go Birds. Go Birds. See, this is what happens when you have Cowboys fans around. They like to insert themselves. Sure, whatever. Yeah. Oh yeah. And hi, Amber. Thanks for joining. Go Birds. So Justin used to like Dallas, but the shame was too much for me. I understand. I see the shame that my sister carries around because she's a Cowboys fan, and she can't hear me now because she has her headphones in. But and I completely understand. So I definitely know why you're not like a Dallas Cowboys fan anymore. Oh, your brother's also a Cowboys fan. You know what I would like to do? I actually would like to at some point do some reading about like NFL history. I have an uncle who is really into like football. I mean, he was born like I think 49, I believe, 1949. So he was there like when like football tickets was like $10. And so he just like he's really into it. He like watched all the football games. He knows a lot of the history. He loves talking about it. And for the most part, I can't keep up the conversations with him. So I would like to learn more about NFL history. I know that like my particular team won a championship before the Super Bowl era, but didn't win one until like a couple of years ago. And so there's that. You hate the Patriots, but live in Northern Maine. I hate the Patriots too, for obvious reasons. They robbed us of a Super Bowl. once, and so I just never could, you know. I used to be a Cowboys fan. It was painful, especially during the Romo years. Don't follow the NFL much these days. Yeah, the Romo years were really painful for you guys. I also don't follow the NFL as much as I used to. Like I used to be like a guy who used to watch like 1 o'clock, from 1 o'clock to like the 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon game to like the 8 o'clock at night game. I don't really do that much anymore. That's the Philadelphia Flyers. No. What city, Alicia, is the Flyers in? They're in Philadelphia. Because I'm not too familiar with hockey, but yeah, I can see that like it definitely happens when you're not like, you know, when you don't follow everyone else, you're kind of like the odd person out. But it's kind of fun too because people, it's a nice way to interact with people. So yeah. Yes, Cam Newton is quarterbacking the Patriots, which is going to be very interesting this year. And yes, the Philadelphia Flyers are in Philadelphia. Okay, thanks, Amber, and also thanks, Alicia, for that. So, so what are you guys reading? Like so far? I know, like I talked a little bit about what I read for the history reading challenge, but what are you guys reading right now? Whether that be history related or not, just let me know in the chat what you guys are reading. I don't know much about the NFL, but I show up for parties and food. Leanne, thanks for joining the live stream, and nothing wrong with that. Like there are a lot some things that I don't know much about myself, and when it comes to sports like soccer or hockey or whatever, but I'll show up for the food and for the parties for sure. Actually, even though I'm not like a big fan of hockey, I have watched some hockey games, live hockey games, and I've had a lot of fun. I generally have fun when I go to like live sporting events. So you're from outside of Philly, so it makes sense for you to be like a Philadelphia Flyers fan. There, so yeah, for me being in New Jersey, it was like, hey, like you should be like a Giants fan or a Jets fan. Like, why are you neither of those? Let's see. Oh, my Super Bowl parties just end up with all my friends hanging out with food and drinks. Hey, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. For me, since I am kind of like, you know, like in football, like it's a mix of that and also kind of being serious. But yeah, I mean, it's just for fun, right? Like, don't let anybody shame you because you don't really know about these things. It's really for the fun, have fun, hang out, and just like completely like enjoy yourselves. Because, you know, why not, right? So yeah, it's just been it's been really interesting, like with sports and stuff, and also kind of having that balance between like the things that I like in the books, because you know with this channel, I've been reading like a lot. I've been reading a lot, and that takes up a lot of time. So like it's trying to find that balance between like things that I like sports, but then also trying to keep like the stuff that I'm supposed to be reading, also like prioritize as well. So, all right. So Faye says that so far she's been reading a Canadian pioneer memoir called "Roughing It in the Bush" by Eric. Oh, so she's been. I read this completely wrong. So she's reading a Canadian pioneer memoir, "Roughing It in the Bush," Eric Larson's "In the Garden of Beasts" about Hitler's Germany, and the Chinese classic Three Kingdoms. Oh, right. I forgot you were reading the Three Kingdoms. I actually bought the book, Three Kingdoms, and I started reading it and never finished it. But it's like huge, and I think I only have volume 1 so far. So that's definitely like something I need to get back to. I've heard Eric Larson's is a very good nonfiction writer, but I haven't read any of his stuff yet. And I want to at some point because I keep like seeing his name pop up, but I haven't really gotten like into like his stuff. But I definitely want to get to the classic, the three kingdoms one day. It's just that it's such a big book that I probably have to set aside like a whole month where I just read that. And that's just volume 1. So Elliot is reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. and also going through a book about Spanish conquistadors by Michael Wood. So yeah, I've heard of Meditations. I haven't read it myself. I think I will read it one day, because it is purported to be like a really good classic, Roman classic. And the Spanish Conquistador sounds like a very interesting book. They made a small appearance in both for the books I read, like the Habsburg book, because the Habsburgs used to be in charge of Spain in the past, and also in my book on Lakota Americas, they make a like maybe not the conquistadors, but the Spanish colonists that followed after them make an appearance in that book as well. So yeah, I heard the characters are a lot of fun, and they actually seem, from what I read, to be really fun too. So yeah, I want to read the full versions of it. Like I told Justin that I had like the full I had a full unabridged version of what was it? Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire on audiobook. It's like 120 hours altogether, all the volumes. And he was like, absolutely not. Do not read it. Like, don't do it. I am going to read it one day, just a little bit at a time. Actually, last year, my goal was to read it in 1 year. Never finished it. I think I got about 4 books in before I kind of lost where I was and just kind of led to the side. But I kind of want to read the unabridged version so I get the whole thing. But I do, but abridged versions are just as good. But if you have the abridged, how long is the abridged version, by the way, for like your copy of the Three Kingdoms? Because I want to like see like how long it is compared to like the unabridged version. Hey Brian, how's it going? Thanks for showing up. It's good to see you. So Leanne has read 2 books, one about Amelia Earhart and another about ESP. And she's reading a sketch for a portrait by Van Brooks about Helen Keller, and The Other Side of Eden by Hugh Broody. Oh, okay. I read like a small book, a very small book, I think, about Helen Keller when I was a kid. Let me like move up a little bit so I don't disappear behind comments. Yeah, I read a very small book about Helen Keller. Very Helen Keller, very inspirational figure, and did a lot, even though that she was blind and deaf, I believe. And Amelia Earhart, her story is always interesting. I haven't read anything about like a book about her specifically, but I have like seen documentaries and things. Ooh, hey Fred. So finished Legion versus Phalanx last week. Great read on the battles between both armies. Currently reading Sparta: Rise of a Warrior Nation. So that's really interesting. Great, interesting reads there. I feel like Justin, the other Justin, my co-host, knows a lot about this era, and probably has read these books. Probably I haven't. I have read some books about like. Yep, he has read books on has read one of these books, Legion and Phalanx. So yeah. The I've been interested in Greek history, and it's just really like cool to see their fighting style and what they were able to do with it. Being bunched up, laying the square like that, and holding a long spear, that had to be very tiring. Oh yes. So Alicia's referring to my review of a book. I'm going to try to get out a review on the 30th or 31st. A review of the book Daughters of George III. So basically, it's about his 6 daughters that he had. His wife actually had 15 children, believe it or not. And I can't imagine having 15 children, but she basically was like pregnant for like almost 20 years. Like for 20 years, she almost had no break. And it talks about their 6 daughters. I just got into the first one, which I forget her name. She was known as Royal. That was like kind of her official designation. So, but I forget her actual name. Was it Charlotte? No, that was her mother. But I just got into her part of the book, and it's just very interesting. It's interesting so far. So yeah, I'll have a review coming out on the 30th or the 31st on that. Yeah, his arguments are pretty dated. This is for Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. A lot of his arguments are pretty dated because it was written in like the 1700s. So there's definitely some newer books you can pick up on the fall of the Roman Empire that would probably be a lot more informative and a lot more accurate. I just wanted to read it just to say that I did. Hey there. How are you doing? Good to see you too, Brian. 400 pages. So I can only imagine what the abridged version of this is, of the other Three Kingdoms is. So it's probably close to 800 or more. So I can only imagine. Hey Buzz. So just finished The Barbarous Years, which is about the peopling of British North America from 1600 to 1660. And currently reading Iron Curtain by Anne Audubon. Okay, cool. Those sound really good. Barbarous Years came. Okay. So the Iron Curtain, I assume, is about the Soviet Union and its impact on Europe, I assume. But yeah, those are two very interesting topics. The Lakota America kind of deals with the peopling of like the impact of the British and the French on their civilization once on the Lakota's civilization once they came over. That was very interesting. So I'm sure that book is great too. So yeah, I will have that review out on the 30th. Hey Levon, and also hi to Brittany Eclectic. Hey, actually, I want to thank Brittany here for helping me out with this live. She helped me figure all the logistics out about it. So I'd like to shout out to her. Also, go check out her channel. Actually, a lot of the people in the chat, I know Bookish has one. Justin, of course, from Trying for Reads has a BookTube channel. So definitely go check out their channels because they're all putting out great content. But definitely shout out to Brittany, because I was over here like, oh my goodness, like how do I do this? How do I set this up? This is gonna be my first one. It's gonna be a mess. But I am really glad that I got the chance to do this because I've never done one before. But I think that that you guys have read some very interesting books, and I'm all glad that you all have picked up books, history books during these 2 weeks, whether it's because they're already on your TBR or because you did it just because of this. So actually I did finish Lakota America. Am I curious about if you think the author supports the thesis that Lakota constitute a dominant empire in the Northern Plains? I'm still thinking about it. I think he makes a good argument for it. I just don't really know enough about the neighboring peoples to say whether or not his thesis would be true. It does look that they were at least powerful enough in their way. I don't know if they made an empire in the way that we would think of it, but I think that that they did have influence that could possibly be interpreted that way, especially in how they managed to influence French and British foreign policy, and also I would say the policy among the people, the other indigenous tribes that they came in contact with, and the fact that in some cases they were able to dominate or co-opt them into their collective. So I think there's an argument to be made for it, but I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. Jury's still out with that for me, but I think is good that that in the book he does make a good job of laying out that, you know, these indigenous people just weren't being pushed around by the winds of history with no kind of say in it for themselves. I mean, after a while, of course, the United States put enough pressure to force them into reservations and so forth. But for a minute there, they had at least some autonomy, were able to kind of dictate what was happening on their lands to some extent. So, well, that's a good question. And yes, Amber also has a BookTube channel. Actually, Amber was trying to convince me about a vinyl yesterday for some group. I don't know what group it is, and supposedly the group is really good. I hope that she gets it because she deserves it. So I hope that you get that album at some point. But yeah. So shout out to Amber as well. Actually, Amber also makes candles. So if you're interested in candles, hit her up. Her channel, and also I'm pretty sure she has links on her videos where you can actually buy candles from her. So definitely check out her channel and her merchandise as well. So Bookish agreed. It almost feels like he is overstating his thesis sometimes in regards to how serious a threat they posed to the U.S. expansion, how seriously the U.S. took them, which is interesting because like I was a bit surprised too by this. And for me, when I read it, I was like, oh, this is surprising. This is something new. I don't think that I ever heard this story told like this before. Generally, while they pose a threat, they like the indigenous people are kind of, at least from the narratives that I read, are always not that serious of one until like they prove themselves like a battle, like the Battle of Bighorn. But yeah, I do wonder if it is an overstatement or is it a statement of fact that was kind of been glossed over to kind of work with the American myth making that we do when it comes to history. So that is that's a very interesting question and way to look at that. I hadn't really thought about that, but it is very possible that could be the case. Also, Elliot asked, do you play any video games and what else do you do for fun other than reading? So I do play video games. And oops. Yeah, so I do play video games. I have a PlayStation 4 and I have a gaming laptop, which I'm using for this. And I play Total War games. Justin, if he's still in the chat, probably knows what I'm talking about. Total War games. So they're like real time. They're a mix of real time strategy and also like strategy games. So you like you play as a kingdom in like a certain time period. So there's like Rome, the Roman era, medieval era, Napoleon era, 1700s with Empire. And you basically pick like a, I don't know, country or a tribe or a power from that era and you play with them. And I really enjoyed that. Started with Medieval Total War 2 and kind of like just played the franchise there. I like sports games. Generally Madden because I like football, but they haven't really been good recently, to be honest. I also like adventure games too. So I play Spider-Man, the last Spider-Man that came out. Really excited about Miles Morales Spider-Man. Also, let's see. Ace Combat is a favorite of mine. Ace Combat 5 I have for like PlayStation 2, and I got Ace Combat 7 for my PS4. I played BioShock, The Elder Scrolls, Skyrim. So I have like a wide range. I don't play them as much as I used to, but yeah, I still do play. And anything other things I do for fun, I like to draw. I don't draw as much as I used to, but I really do like drawing. I've actually have a digital thing here. I actually bought this recently, a digital tablet. So I'll be drawing a lot more once I can carve out some time. And I mean, those have been pretty much my go-to for doing fun stuff. And I like playing sports too when I get the chance, and just like bowling, basketball. I haven't done it in a while, but yeah. No problem, Amber. No problem. So Justin hasn't played in 5 years, but it was fun. They are very fun. Yeah. Medieval Total War 2 was like one of my favorite real-time strategy games. Absolutely loved it. I think because of my computer, it was like a glitch in there or something like that. It logged me, I think, having over 1,000 hours in it, which is simply not true. I think I played more like 500, but I did play it a lot back in the day, and still play it now. Well, I haven't played in a while, but I still want to go back to it. Um, all right, Brian. Thanks for coming. If you come back, I'll see you. See you when you come back. We need to see your art. Yeah. So I recently got the tablet. So I got it back in July. So I'm still getting used to using it and getting used to the like Clip Studio art, which is what I use to draw on, because I haven't done digital art ever. So this is my first time doing digital art. So you guys should see some. I think I posted one piece on my Twitter page at one point, and that was just me trying to work it out. Working on another piece, which I'm having a hard time with because I have a hard time with faces. But yeah, you're definitely going to see more of my art as I'm able to get it out. Do you like the tablet? I do, Alicia. I do like the tablet. It is a Huon, I think it's called. I got it for $50 on Amazon. I'm wanting to get a tablet that was good, but not too expensive, because I'm starting out and I didn't want to buy like a really expensive one and then think that, oh yeah, like this is not something that I want. But I do like it so far. I do have to like do some. I have to go read the manual so I can kind of customize it a bit, like the buttons on it. But pretty much it's been good so far. Really responsive. And the pen has like seven replaceable points. So if the tip of it starts to wear down, I have replaceables that came with it. So that's great. But yeah, I do like it so far. Yes, I think I tried it once and didn't really get into it, but the mod I've seen the gameplay was great. And yeah, the Third Age one, I definitely have to go back and play that at some point. But yeah, I that's another thing that kind of got me like really I liked about history too, was these games in a way kind of served as a gateway to learning more, because they while not being historically accurate, because Creative Assembly isn't really known for being historically accurate when it comes to like the games itself, but a lot of the stuff in it is based in history, and it did make me want to go and read and learn more about like the nations that are described in some of these video games. So that was another gateway for me to get into history and start to learn a lot more about it. I learned about the Moors that way, because they were in medieval Total War II, and I was like, oh, who's the Moors? And I started reading more about them. And so that was like very, very interesting for me. So sometimes these things serve as a gateway for me to actually learn more about the world. And so what else? Oh, so I actually, since I'm like, I think I'm 3 books into my TBR for the History Reading Challenge, I'm still haven't gotten to the Silmarillion, which some people were calling me out for in my comments when I put that on there, but other people are like, yeah, sure, you can read that. I think I'm gonna be starting that either tonight or tomorrow, and will I have it done by the end? I don't know. It's 13 hours long, but I really look forward to it. I like J.R. Tolkien, and I like Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit. So this history of the Middle Earth and how Middle Earth came to be, I think it's going to be really interesting too. So where in history is your favorite place to learn about? So let's see. So it's kind of hard to pin down. Like I'm gonna take this in 2 parts. So as time period, and then like where in the world in history do I like to learn about. So it's hard for me because I do have like this broad general survey of what I like in history. So for example, like I've read like stuff about like ancient civilizations like Mesopotamians and stuff like that, and there are other ancient civilizations I want to learn more about. And then I've read like other stuff where it's more modern. So it's a huge stretch of things there. It's such a wide variety. But I think my favorite topic will have to be probably military history, which once again doesn't pin down like a time period. per se. But if I had to pin one, like a particular time period down, I do kind of like the medieval era, because I think the medieval era was very interesting, at least in Europe anyway. And also, I think it was interesting other places as well. It's just that we don't really talk about those other places as much in the West. So I haven't read books particularly on it, and I really do. I do want to learn more about what other places were doing at that time, because generally speaking, is generally from a Western point of view, and I kind of want to see what that time period was like for other peoples in the world, right? Like what was going on in India, what was going on in China at the time, what was going on in Japan, what was going on in the continent of Africa with all the many various peoples there, and even here in the Americas as well. You know, what empires were being built, what peoples were here present, and I really want to. I think that'd be very interesting. So do I have a favorite place in history, like a location? I don't know if I have a favorite location. I think a lot of the books that I read tend to be European American focused, but I think that's because I get a lot of the recent books that I've gotten from NetGalley, and NetGalley is very much focused on the books there are very focused on like European American history. So, but I like to learn about other places too. So, we're definitely going to be. I do definitely want to spend my horizons with that. Hey Zach, how's it going? Hope everything is fine down where you are. Everything's going great. Everything's going good. I can't complain. I mean, you can always complain, right? But like you try not to, because you don't want to focus on like the bad stuff. If everything, if it's not like overwhelmingly bad, I try not to complain about it, to be honest. But yeah, hanging in there, man. Hanging in there with everything going on. Ellie, I really want to learn about what was going on in Southeastern Asia during the Middle Ages, like current day Vietnam and Cambodia. Yeah, places like that I would definitely myself want to learn more about, because they have very vibrant civilizations there, very vibrant communities, and with very rich histories. And I think that they would be very interesting places to learn about. I don't really know much about them besides what I know from the modern era, and most of that concerns the Vietnam War and like the conflict surrounding that, and a little bit before, mainly World War II. But I hope that going forward, I'll be able to delve deeper into that. Yeah, I would like to go there too. I'm not sure if I would ever get the chance to, but I would really like to go there as well. I think that would be a very cool thing to see. Actually, a lot of places I would like to go. Like I would like to see the pyramids. Stonehenge would be nice. I definitely want to see like the pyramids in Mexico and like Machu Picchu in Peru, I think it is, or Ecuador. I forget which country it is in. Yeah, I would definitely like to go see like these ancient structures, the Pantheon in Greece. Definitely want to go see these structures that have been built in the past, when things were a lot harder to build. And it took like, today you got a computer and stuff to kind of double check your work. Back then, you kind of had to do it all by eye. And I think those guys just got so good at it that they could do it. So it's really cool. And I do want to go to some of these historical places in the world one day. So, yep, definitely. It was built in Cambodia during what would have been the European Middle Ages. Hey, how you doing? I'm glad you're able to catch it too. I'm glad you got home safe. So actually, what are some places in the world that you guys would like to go? Because I think I named some of my favorite history places that I would like to go to. What are some of yours? Put that in the chat. Because I think it's a lot of interesting places to see. I myself haven't been to a lot of them. I've been to some places in Washington, D.C., I've been to Statue of Liberty, which is pretty fun. Actually, this weekend I went to Liberty State Park here in New Jersey, and you can actually look out and see Statue of Liberty. It's about the closest you can get to it without actually getting on a ferry and going to the Statue of Liberty, which is in New Jersey, by the way. It was quite interesting because while I was there, like these guys who were from Tennessee walked up to me. It was like, "Hey, like, what's that building over there? Is that like a prison?" And I was like, "No, that's like Ellis Island. You know, that's where, like, you know, when you came into where you come to New York, you went there, you got processed for immigration. I guess it, you know, it could be a prison if you got detained in quarantine for a while, but you know, you could go from there, and it was pretty cool. I've been to Ellis Island myself. I've been in Statue of Liberty, not up to the top, because they're like, you can go to Statue of Liberty, you can go to the the top of the base of it, and you can go out and walk out and like see like the skyline from there, or you can go up to the top. At one time, you can actually go up to the torch, but you can't do that anymore. But yeah, you can definitely like go out. It was fun. I didn't go up to the top, I went out at the base, and it was quite the experience. So yeah, Manchu Picchu, I heard, is fantastic, and you're absolutely right. The elevation is pretty high, so I can imagine it like, if you're not used to it, that you would have like probably a hard time catching your breath, and you know, definitely want to be something you check out before you go to the place that high. But yeah, I heard it's definitely a fantastic place. The pictures of it look fantastic. Love to spend a year in Iceland or some, like, I think that would be cool. I used to work in a lab, science lab, and I think one of the guys went to he went to Iceland. I'm not sure if it was for research or for vacation, because both of those can be the same. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Turkey has some great places too. So, thank you for joining, Justin. You know, get some sleep, and thanks for all your help with the readathon as well. So you actually got to camp in the Sahara Desert. I am jealous. I'm very jealous, Brittany, right now. I'm so jealous. I'm not sure what they do with my jealousy. But that sounds pretty cool. Imagine being able to camp out in the Sahara Desert. That's amazing. Want to see the Van Gogh Museum and then skip over the rest of Europe to see Eastern Europe. Oh, cool. I would like to see some of the museums in Europe too. I think that'd be fascinating to see. I actually know somebody who lives in Serbia. Not sure how long she's going to be there, because she was planning to move to Canada. But if she's still there and I get the chance to go, hopefully I can visit. Elliot would like to hit up southern France, Spain, and Peru. Really want to go back to Italy, but with the way things are, it'll be nice to move there someday. Yeah, cool. Southern France, Spain, Peru, Italy, all great places to go. Wow. Geneva, Switzerland, and Toulouse in Spain, or Toulouse. And if not Spain, France. Wow. Oh, that's pretty amazing, getting to live in Geneva and the parks there. I would like to go to Geneva one day and visit, because I think that both Geneva and France, or Switzerland and France, would be great places to visit. Paris is great for monuments, but I wouldn't want to live there. Why wouldn't you want to live there? Is it because it's like very pricey and touristy, or is it just like, you know, great place to visit but not good place to stay type of thing? Alicia wants to go to Italy. That is awesome. The Van Gogh Museum okay. Van Gogh Museum, another Van Gogh. Someone wants to go see Van Gogh. And you were in Amsterdam last year, and you didn't get to see it. I'm once again jealous, but also disappointed that you didn't make time to go see it. Oh man. Leanne wants to go back to Panama and go through the canal. That's very interesting. The Panama Canal is very interesting, because I saw like how it was built, and I was just like, wow. If it had been me, I probably would have been like, well, if we just dig really, really, like, just, you know, just dig all the way down. But the way it's built is like, you know, you come into the first lock, it fills up with water, it pushes you up. You go into the next lock, then it fills up with water, and you go to the next level. And I thought that was like someone was like was able to figure that out, because I probably would have just been like, I have no idea how to build this thing. I'm not an engineer anyway, but but I probably would have done something insanely stupid and took a lot of hard work that didn't need to be done. So Charles says Governor's Island in New York City. It's worth a visit in the summer. You know, I've never been to Governor's Island. I've been past Governor's Island, but never actually been to it. I do want to go to it one day. I'm interested to see like what's there. So I'm definitely going to check it out one day. Definitely, for sure. Hey, Monet. How you doing? Thanks for joining. Wanted to do a hike of Austria and Switzerland. It looks gorgeous. It does look gorgeous. Especially with the Alps there. Definitely looks like a great place to go. I think cool thing about Europe is they have trains. Their train system is really good. And you can go from place. Well, I'm not sure how long this will last. Hopefully it does for a while. But you can actually go to like a lot of countries pretty easily. At least I've heard like the train system. I'm not sure if it applies to tourists as well. Someone let me know if you know. But I heard the train system is really good. You can just pop on a train and be in another country in a couple hours or stuff like that. So you did you got to go to the Anne Frank house. Okay I'm no longer disappointed. At least you got to see one historical thing while you were there. That's a very would be a very interesting place to visit. I didn't know, actually. I didn't realize that was in Amsterdam. So that's good to know. If I ever go, I'll definitely check it out. Paris is extremely dirty, but also that's New York is the same way. In Geneva, they clean the streets all the time. You can eat off the streets. In Paris, by comparison, was super smelly. I feel like that's a thing with like big cities here in the United States. I'm not gonna say all big cities in the United States, but hey mom, how's it going? You're live. But New York City suffers from the same thing. It can be very dirty. 8.5 million people generating trash and stuff. It's a lot. And not only that, not the 8.5 million people that just live there, but also like every, all the tourists and stuff that come in every day. Oceania is beautiful. Yes, that is beautiful too. There's so many places in the world I like to visit, but since I have college debt, it's going to be very hard for me to go visit. But yes, Oceania is beautiful as well. I would like to go there at some point too, visit the islands there. Still want to take a trip to Iceland. Brittany wants to go to Iceland and to finish Asia. Where in Asia have you been, Brittany? And Europe was fun. Cool. Elliot's done a hike in the Alps last fall. Got altitude sickness, but it was beautiful. At least it was beautiful, so at least you got to enjoy that. We need a reboot of Amtrak. And see, this is a very interesting thing. A reboot of Amtrak. First of all, it's run by the federal government, so things like this tend to not do well. But it's a very interesting thing because Amtrak, as it is right now, I can drive from New Jersey to Washington, D.C. I can actually drive from New York, actually, depending on how traffic is. If traffic's horrible, this may not work. But if it's not, you're still in frame, right? Just letting you know, because you were looking like you weren't like in the frame. But the thing is I can drive from New York to DC in about the same time it takes the Amtrak train to do it. And so it's a very interesting prospect of can you put a train system in place here in the United States that would be I think you can do it cost effective, but with the United States being as big as it is, could you effectively do this? I mean, it's kind of hard because at least like in crowded areas like say New Jersey or something like that, is very hard. Maybe the further you go out west in the middle of the country, you can put down tracks in places where it wouldn't like hit a lot of infrastructure or like pre-existing infrastructure. But I know like here in New Jersey, if you're trying to like build like a train system, you're running into a lot of problems. And I think at least around parts of the Northeast corridor, you run into this problem. But it'd be really interesting to see if they can overcome like some of these problems and put a train system in place, because it would be a lot better. I think it could be a lot easier and better solution to our pollution problem or whatever. Yeah, I think it could be a fantastic idea if we can make it work. Anyone can take the trains, though flights are usually less expensive. Of course, flights are way worse. Yeah, true. You can take a train. I think the reason why most people tend not to take the train is either they feel they can do it like the same amount of time in their car, or if it's not that, because a train will be a car going long distance. If you're going from like here to like Florida, like the train will probably beat it. But I think a lot of people they think of trains as their first solution, right? They usually go, I'm either going to take the car or going to take a plane. And we don't like driving that far, so we generally end up on a plane. And like you said, it's worse for the environment than the train is. But a train can go a lot of places. So it's definitely something to consider. Yeah, I just think it's like cities in the states have that problem with being dirty. Yeah, hey, RK Gold. How's it going? Ari, how's it going? I'm not sure why I said RK Gold. So how's it going? Welcome. Did I work in New York City before working from home? No, I actually didn't work in the city. Oh, actually, that's not true. So I had 2 jobs before COVID started. One was a job that I had before I got my current job. So basically what happened is before I started the job I'm currently at, I was working for Hertz, the car rental company, which recently went bankrupt, at least filed for bankruptcy anyway. And I would basically transport cars back and forth. It was like a job that you get that's like a side job. At the time I had it as a main job because I was looking for other work, but it's a side job, $10 an hour sometimes, because it was depending on how many trips you did to move cars back and forth, but not a lot of money, enough for me to survive on in my current means. So that one involved me going to the city like almost every time I worked there. So almost every time I worked there, I was probably in the city. But my current permanent job, had me working out of Tarrytown, New York, which is right next to Sleepy Hollow, the Sleepy Hollow that's featured the Headless Horseman. That's Sleepy Hollow. And so I did work in the city technically, and that was a job that I kept with the current job that I currently have. But I haven't been back because of COVID, because a lot of those cars come from the airport, and yeah, and all the people, I don't know who's been in the car at the airport before I get the car, and that was a problem beforehand. But even with COVID, it's even worse now. So I was just like, I'm not going to go back to that job, at least now. I technically still have the job, but I'm going to probably go in and tell them that I'm not coming back. But yeah, so I've been in the city a lot, so much that I can pretty much make my way around the city on my own. It was a time I said I would never drive in New York City. That quickly changed. And so now I'm pretty good at driving. Still want to drive my own personal car in the city, just because New York drivers can be crazy. Okay. And Brittany's like, lies, you can pay bills and travel. I'll help you out with knowledge. I mean, you can help me out with money too. I am not against that, like, at all. If you want to help out with money to help me go travel, let me know. I'll set up like a GoFundMe or something, and you can just like send. You don't have to even do the GoFundMe. Just Zelle me the money, and I will go on a trip on your dime. True, some trains are as long as a bus ride, but they're 4 times the price. And this is exactly why I think trains aren't people's first choice. They take just about as long sometimes, and they're like much more the price. So productive 15-hour trip. Yeah, I think like if you're going someplace, you're not in a time crunch, and it's like not as expensive as a like, you're not in a time crunch. You want to take your time. You don't want to work. You don't want to fly. I think a train is a good alternative. Oh, sure. Put a sugar mama request on Twitter. Oh man, that is hilarious. I'll do that after the live stream. I'll put in my requests. I'm serious about that. But Amber's right. there are ways to travel where you don't have to break your bank. There are programs and people out there that can help you travel. That's not expensive and won't break the bank. They're out there. You just have to search for them, look for them. I know Brittany has gone to many different places in the world, with using her skills. So I hope that maybe one day that I'll do the same. I just need to get the time to do it. And like I said, put some money aside either way. It doesn't have to break the bank, but put some money into the side for it. But once I start traveling and stuff, I'm gonna come back and this channel is just gonna be all travel vlogs. It's gonna be all travel vlogs, and you guys can be like, "What about the old content? Like Justin, you promised us history, and now it's just all travel vlogs. You're going to like clubs. You're not like looking at like history things anymore. Like what's going on? So do you really want me to travel? Because it may just become all like videos of me in nightclubs and stuff, just dancing, but yeah, no, it's really cool like hearing all the places that you guys want to go visit. I hope you get the chance to go, to these places, because like you only live once, right? And you only get to experience the world once. The who knows when a lot of us will get the chance to go and travel. COVID is still a thing, unfortunately, but hopefully that we'll get the chance to. I went to a national park not too long ago and took a hike, which involved a lot of waterfalls and a lot of uphill walks. It was just straight up, which was fine going up. Like actually climbing up the trail was fine. It was coming down the trail that was hard. Like because the trail we're on would get narrow. It was slippery. It was slippery, and so it was actually harder going down the trail on the other side of the park rather than going up. My sister was there. She almost collapsed from the exhaustion. I was fine because I'm younger and more nimbler than my sister. But you need to travel for B-roll. You could be a history documentary channel then. That would be very cool, right? If I start shooting my own documentaries, just going places and being like, hey guys, so welcome to my documentary. My name is Justin, aka Ghost Reader, and today we are outside of X place, and I can have a whole bunch of B-roll with me explaining history stuff. That's going to be cool, right? Because yeah, that would be cool to do. Like learn some of the history of the place beforehand, learn some of it while I was there, shoot some B-roll footage, and be like, here's my history documentary. It's like it's really fun. I think like projects like that are really hard to do. Like for me personally, like when I was like when I did like the World War One challenge, that not the World War One challenge, the World War One history series I did last year, and then like the Black History series I did this year. It was like a lot of work. Especially the World War One, believe it or not, series was harder than the Black History series one, because at least with the Black History series one, I had even though I produced a lot more videos, I had a lot better handle on what I was going to be doing in the videos. So like my World War One videos would have like 40 minutes to like 50 minutes of raw footage that I had edited, whereas my Black History ones only had like 20. So it was like a lot of labor for that 1 week, which is why I didn't do anything the next year, because I was kind of put off for it. And so I waited a year to do the Black History series. Don't know if I'll be doing any other like big history series in the future, but if I do, of course, you guys, I'll definitely let you guys know. And speaking about history, I just want to give a shout out to she's not here at the moment, Emma, from a couple of books, because she's the one who came up with the history reading challenge and invited me to join, me, Justin, Jenny, and asked us to join to do this readathon that we're doing. And I'm glad that a lot of you in the join. Even if you haven't, thanks for being here in this live stream. So, oh yeah, you definitely have to be careful going down. Learned that the hard way. It felt at times where I was going to slip off the trail and into like the waterfall, like the water, and get swept down the waterfalls. But it was a beautiful place. It was I forget the name of the park. It was in Pennsylvania. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I got to walk underneath the waterfalls, and the water was low enough that I could like actually get up close to the waterfalls and get like under them and like kind of walk up to them. Whereas if the water had been up a little higher, I could only get like I could only get footage from very far away, but I was able to get really close. Really, downhill is always a challenge. This is why marathons are designed with an uphill finish whenever possible. Wow. See, I would have thought the opposite because I used to be a cross country runner, and boy, the hills going uphill used to kill me. Oh my goodness. There was this one race where it was like angle like this for like at least a quarter of a mile. And oh my gosh, because we had to go around like 3 times on the trail. And oh my goodness, talk about like the second time I hit that thing, I almost didn't make it up the hill. That would have been it. You guys would never had this channel. I would have died right there. But if that is the case, that's very interesting, because I would have preferred the opposite. I'd rather stumble and roll and fall and just kind of roll all the way down the hill to the finish line than like, kind of struggle uphill. But that's pretty interesting. What did I study in college? So this is very interesting, and please don't, if you're younger, don't do this when you choose what you're going to study in college. But when I went to college, I wanted to study something in the sciences. I had no idea what it was going to be, but I knew I wanted to study something in science. But what? Huh? What you said? So I knew I wanted to study. I knew I wanted to study something in the sciences. No idea what I was going to do. So I basically went to the catalog of what my college had to offer, which was Rutgers University, and there was something there called biotech. Never heard of biotech. I was like, looked it up really quickly, see what biotech was. Like, I think that's what I want to study, and I chose biotech as a thing to study. And boy, like that first semester, I was like home and called my mom, was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I'm just going to go and just be a history major, because like I can't take these classes anymore. And that was just the first semester. So I really had to get used to it. I really didn't hit my stride till maybe about junior year. And but I studied biotech, went through a lot of science classes, a lot of lab classes, got to be a lab assistant and have my name on a scientific paper for a discovery of a brand new microorganism that had been found at the very bottom of the ocean. Because the lab I was in, the postdoc and grad students would go out on a submarine. They would go all the way down to the bottom of the ocean. They would place these things down there to collect where the bacteria could grow on, and then they would like go back up to the surface, come down a couple of days later, and collect those samples, and do study on them. And they found this new organism. I helped characterize it, so I got my name on the paper. So that was pretty cool. Then I went and got my master's of business and science, which is kind of like a mix of a MBA and an MBS. So I have a little knowledge about business part of the science, pharmaceutical stuff. So yeah, so I studied biotechnology in college too. Well, in college, as part of my master's. It was a master's of business and science with a concentration in biotechnology and genomics. So yeah, I was expected to be very bad for the quads. Marathons. Cool. What school was that, if you don't mind I'm saying? That's just pretty cool. But yeah, school for me was very interesting. I thought I was going to just give it up and just like quit and just be like, hey, like this is too hard for me, and then we go do history, because I knew if I did history I was going to be like really, really good at it, and I didn't have to worry about it. But I stuck with science, and I'm happy I did, because coming out of school with a history bachelor's, even the PhD in history, you can make it, but it's going to be a lot of hard work. And I thought I had a better job outlook actually if I went ahead and stuck to science, and that's why I stayed with it. Electrical engineer major. Okay, and then got to calculus and was like, heck no. Ended up doing double majoring in literature and comp sci. Yeah, math was my hang up. I was not that great with math. Didn't start out that way, but over time, I ended up not being as good as I was with like reading. Like I was able to, my SAT scores for like reading when I took the SAT was good enough that I didn't have to take like the entrance exam for like reading. They put me like in the advanced readers course without me taking the test at Rutgers. But math, I was not good at like at all. And I'm still not good to this day. And I had to take I took calculus, somehow got through it, muddled my way through calculus, and then I took a stats class, basic stats for research class. And it was like, I hope I never see this again, which is another reason why I kind of got out of the lab, because I didn't want to be in a lab for the rest of my life either. So sweet. I have a bunch of friends from Rutgers. Oh, I can't believe you chose one of the hardest majors out of the cal. Right? See, that's the thing. I didn't know it was the hardest. I didn't even think about like what like how hard it would be. I just kind of chose it. And I had no idea, they were like, oh, then I get hit with like biology wasn't bad. That was just memorization, but it was like chemistry, like what my behind, organic chemistry, like just completely and utterly destroyed me. Calculus was like, what is this? Actually, to this day, I don't know how I got through it. Calculus, but somehow I did and ended up with like a C. I was just like, I'll take it. Then I did biochemistry. Actually, for some reason, after struggling through chemistry and organic chemistry, I got the biochem and pretty much like I think I did like got B's and A's in it. It was just like, this is like easy one, like pretty much. I just did better. I think I just understood proteins a lot better than I did like organic compounds and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely chose one of the harder ones. And then the school that I was in, part like because Rutgers is split up into smaller schools, had like one of the hardest curriculums there. So like I think when I was senior year, when my roommate was in a separate school from me, he senior year was taking all electives. I had like, I think I was taking like 18, 19 credits to try to finish in 4 years. And it was insane. Don't do it. I would not recommend doing that. Oh, Rider University. Yeah, that is pretty close. So, double major in biology and French. Did 1 year of a PhD in entomology and noped out. Now I'm in French, so my job prospects are terrible. I know the feeling, and it sucks that it's like that. That like job prospects and some of these like humanities some of these humanity majors it sucks. Like the job prospects are so low, but that's pretty cool. Double major in biology and French. I couldn't imagine double majoring in my major. I did manage to get a minor in biochemistry, and the one extra class I had to take for that ended up being like one of the hardest classes ever. Sitting down and trying to make sense of a scientific paper with a group of people, insane. Like that, like it would take us hours and hours and hours and hours to try to sit down, analyze these papers, put everything in context, and have to explain it to the class. Woo! For 1 credit for a minor, I was like, I'm not sure if this is worth it. But yeah, if you're passionate enough, like Elliot said, I think if you're passionate enough about what you want to do, I think that like you can make it. It's just to be a little bit harder for you than it would be for someone else. Zach, I have a bachelor in stats. I had to pass Calc 3. Absolutely awful. Unfortunately, still looking for a real job. Freaking COVID. Yeah. Calc 3 actually is interesting because at Rutgers, people were like, yeah, once you get past Calc 2, like calculus is like easy. And I was just like, but Calc 2 was like murdering people. Like people were just like, oh my gosh, dropping out like flies. But they were like, yeah, after Calc 2, Calc 3 and on is like pretty easy. I'm like, okay, I'm not sure how that makes sense, but maybe it does. Because and yeah, looking for a job now is really hard. If you're looking for a job, because a lot of places have cut back, a lot of positions aren't open. And even if the places are open, they're not bringing back as many people because they're not getting as much traffic. So I just happen to be in a situation where my company stands to profit from COVID-19. it hates to put it that way, but it is a pharmaceutical company and they are working on the vaccine for it. So if the vaccine works, there is a possibility that it could be like a major hit for them. But odds are, I'm going to tell you right now, with any pharmaceutical candidate that is put out there, the odds are almost never in your favor when it comes out to this. Like a lot, even with all the drugs that are out there, there have been like for every one, I would say there are probably like a couple thousand candidates that failed to make it. So we'll see. Yeah, and this is why I was confused, because everyone in my school was saying Cal 3 was easier, and then like Brittany's here saying that Cal 3 is the devil. So I was confused. The only sciences where I was okay was physics because of algebra and human anatomy. Yeah, physics was physics was really weird for me. Like I don't it wasn't I didn't understand. It was like I would get the concepts, but then when I got to do the math, I was like, what? But not only that, but I had a similar trend for both semesters I had to take it. It was like the first exam I would do meh, second exam was like amazing, and then the third exam was meh, and then the final was like a combination of all three. So it was kind of like, okay. So yeah, so that was really really like interesting for me when it came to physics. But I like physics. I like learning about physics. It's just that I, for some reason, wasn't getting all the concepts myself. Oh wow, that sucks. Man. Yeah, I had to drop a class too when I was in college. I dropped intro to chemistry because I took it without having, because when I came to college, I only had like half a quarter of chemistry. So me trying to understand chemistry concepts going straight into that lab, no idea. So I dropped it, took it again, and pretty much aced it after I got in some stuff. The words vector field still send me into a blind fury. I have no idea what that is, and I hope it stays that way forever. Yeah, I hope it stays that way forever. It seems Brittany also feels the same way about vector fields as well. Oh man. So abstracts used to kill me. In like as in scientific paper abstracts, because I used to use those all the time when I had to write a paper and didn't feel like reading the paper. I would just look at the abstract, be like, okay, yeah, I get the thing, and use that as a quote in my papers. Calculus is a challenge because abstract. Yeah, I'm not good at abstraction either myself. I think I'm better with known things. Like integrals under the curves, derivatives. Yeah, I basically got thrown into the void with those. Like I at the time understood the concept of it, but actually in practice, no. So which I guess begs the question whether I understood it to begin with. So Faye, my major is English, minor French. Science and math are beyond me. My whole life is literature, so I figure I run with it. Cool. And I say definitely, if that's something you really like to do, go for it, right? Because you begin into something and you really hate it, even if you're like think that like I'm going to do this for the money or whatever. If you hate it, you're just going to be miserable, and it's really not worth being miserable for. If it's not going to be worth it, to be honest. If you're miserable all the time because you're in the major just for the money and not because you really like it, or it's not your it's not your thing, it's not really worth it in my opinion. But I'm glad that you're in something that you like doing. I would actually like to learn other languages. Actually, to you guys here, like what languages do you speak? Because I can understand like a little bit of Spanish, not when it's spoken to me, but if I'm reading it, I can understand it. But yeah. So what languages do you guys speak, if you speak any other a language besides English. Being a journalism major, you had to learn how to write them. Oh yeah, I can see that being a pain. I can definitely see that being a pain because trying to boil down everything that from a big idea into like something that's 50 words or 150 words is a skill. So taking something like there's always a skill when you can take something that's produced or said in a lot of words and like make it into something that's very concrete. Is very hard to do. I have done a couple written reviews, and that'd be like 800 words, and I would write them and it'd be like 1,000. I was like, okay, now I gotta get this 1,000-word concept or my 1,000-word review down to 800 words. How do I do this and still maintain the integrity of the piece? So I definitely feel you there. Physics was so hard for me in college. I studied finance and the math was a joke. If I had to go back, I would have studied economics plus history as a double major. Yeah, I can see that. I took a finance class in a master's degree. No, a master's degree. It was basically like basic finance about like how to read like company balance sheets. Because my master thesis was not my master thesis. We had a capstone. We have a thesis. We had a capstone project, and the capstone project was that we had to create a company around a product. So we had to go find a patent and then build a company around that patent. And so we had to take a finance class because we had to come up with like a finance sheet of what our company was going to produce, and we basically built a business plan from scratch. And so we had to learn finance for that. So I learned a little bit about finance, which is pretty good. So rusty, but all right with French. Okay, Amber's already French. Even worse with Italian, but I recently started teaching myself German and Romanian. Wow, okay, cool. Rusty with the French, but worse with the Italian, but recently teaching yourself German and Romanian. Okay, cool. Like, did you find French and Italian to be easy? Because, well, not easy, but like because French, Italian, do you find Italian to be a little easier to learn since they're kind of, I believe, in the same language group, romantic language group? And I know German and Romanian I think are have different roots from each other. I think like Romanian is probably more Slavish than German. So how is it with those languages? Do you find them hard? Then which ones do you find the hardest? Which ones give you the most trouble? The thing is, writing is a very important skill that humanities students learn. Writing is very important. It is an employable skill. We may need to pivot, but we're not devoid of skill. That is exactly correct, because you definitely learn how to write. Actually, science majors, depending on what science you go into, you also learn how to write there too. But it's a different kind of writing. It's like more technical. But writing a scientific paper, getting across everything that you need to get across to like succinctly, is a skill that a lot of PhD majors, if they're solely science based and haven't had a lot of exposure to writing, have a hard time with, and they struggle. And this is, I think, is where like a humanities major, since they know how to write, will come into like a science like field and do amazing at it, because they already know how to write. They may have to tweak it a bit to be more technical, but they already have that writing skill there. And so, yeah, you're definitely not devoid of skills as a humanities major at all, because you definitely have those writing skills, which can take you places if you know how to sell yourself and sell that skill. I can read French pretty well, but I have trouble speaking or writing it. I can understand quite a bit of Spanish too. Okay. Cool. I do want to learn like more Spanish. I have a lot of Hispanic friends, and I can read a little bit of Spanish, but speaking it, actually speaking it, I can do. I'm not too bad at speaking it, but I do need to actually learn it. Like I know some basic stuff from like when I took it in high school. I can probably say like I don't understand what you're saying. I speak English, but beyond the basics, and probably given if I don't have any context clues, I can't pick it up. Just from like hearing it, I would have to be more practice with it. Elia is trying to learn more Italian here and there. Yeah, I am ashamed I don't know more English either. I would definitely like to learn more. Um, because I feel like knowing English is good. A lot of people know because a lot of other people know English, but I think being able to converse in other languages is a key skill to have, for sure. I had to take writing classes in engineering, lab reports and lab. Yeah, yeah. I hated lab reports, to be honest. Could not stand lab reports. We had a a class where we had to, my senior year, I was like 19 credits in and I was like dead, and I had a lab partner. Me and her would kind of switch off. Like she would give me like, here's what I wrote for the lab report, because the thing is we were both lab partners. We're working on the same project, but we had to write separate lab reports, and we would help each other out. She'd be like, oh man, I'm struggling here, like take my lab report, the thing, tweak it and make it your own and whatever. But um but yeah, lab reports and writing those science papers, man, it's hard, especially like when you see if it's really technical and you're writing it, especially like for a journal article, trying to get that stuff in there. Like it's a lot of things that are required of you, and it's definitely a skill. Yeah, so I took a technical writing class actually in school, just because you kind of need to learn the technique for that. Actually, shifting from French to Italian was weird because I still mispronounce my Italian E's the French way. I think Italian is easier if you use the Spanish. The hardest is German, though. Yeah, I heard like someone describe German as someone taking like a whole bunch of words and like slamming them together to like name and describe things. So yeah, I feel like I think I had Duolingo. Still have it on my phone. Don't really use it, which is typical me. But I definitely, I think I need to go back to some of that stuff, because the thing is there's a lot of history. If you're going to go outside the United States or outside of like an English speaking country and learn about this stuff, it's really good to kind of be able to at least like read or know about some of the language of the country you're studying. So like one of the reasons why like I like this medieval history, and I looked into some programs and they're like, okay, yeah, but you need to have like like you need to train, you need to learn like a language. You need to learn like French or Latin or whatever special thing you want to specialize in. You kind of have to know that language, because a lot of those um, source documents are going to be, the original source documents are going to be in that language. So that's definitely one reason why I want to learn like some other languages. So it's almost 9:30. I'm going to probably stop at 9:30. So we have 3 minutes before we end. Are there any other like things you would like to ask me or talk about? I was thinking about doing reading sprints, but you guys have been so good at with like conversation that like I think this is fine. I need a break anyway. Like last night I stayed up. I got this book publisher sent me last night, and I actually ended up reading the whole book in like 3 hours because it was like so good. You guys, like I said at the beginning of this, you'll like see it, me talk about it in a couple of days. But it was so good. I read it in like 2-3 days. So not 2-3 days. I read it in about just over 3 hours. But yeah, looked up at the clock and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I was like, where did the time go? So I definitely need to get some sleep tonight. But yeah. Yep, Duolingo. There are lots of languages on there. Like I tried to learn some. Like yeah, this is me. I pick a language. We'll start it and then like never go back and finish it. It's really sad. I need to actually go back and actually like commit to one language and actually like learn it. Right? I do. Thanks for the stream. Yes. You're welcome. So yeah, so thanks for coming, Charles, and thanks for everyone else in the chat who showed up as well. It's been fun talking to you all. I should do live streams more often. Brittany has been pushing me to do live streams, and she's like, "Oh, you should do it." I'm like, "Nah, I don't really think so. I don't know how to do it, what I'm going to talk about, and whatever and stuff like that." And Brittany's like, what are you talking about? Like, just do it. You're natural, or whatever. But I don't like agreeing with Brittany. So the reason I didn't do it wasn't that I didn't want to do it. It's because Brittany asked me to, and I was just like, yeah, I don't think I'll do it because she asked me to. I was just being hard headed. But yeah, for sure. Yeah, when you stay up and you lose track of time, that's when you know the book is good for sure. Yeah, I can definitely see that being a need. All right, so yeah, thanks you all for coming. And yes, Brittany, that's not how you sound, but I wasn't going to like try to mimic your voice exactly. Okay. I do not appreciate fake Brittany's voice. Oh boy. Oh yeah. So that's gonna be it for tonight, guys. I want to thank you all for joining. I definitely will try to plan some more live streams in the future for you guys, because I enjoyed this. I think you guys liked it as well. So if you do, let me know. Definitely hit the like button on this video before you leave. So of course, it gets the YouTube algorithms and whatnot. But yeah, if you're new here and you're not a subscriber, hit that like button. If you want to see more videos from me, please subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at GhostReads28, on Instagram at Justin Ghost Reader, and also on Goodreads. The link to that is down in the bottom of this video below. So I want to thank you all for coming out tonight. So as always, keep reading, and Black Lives Matter.